My name is Andy Hornby, photographer and vlogger. 15 years ago I started teaching myself photography. Today I travel the UK as a professional wedding photographer, landscape photographer and filmmaker. Learn from my experiences, my mistakes and my tips and advice. Join me on my photography adventures. Okay, so welcome to another video. Today something really different for me. I don't do this very often. As some of you know, I'm a wedding photographer and images I give to my clients aren't necessarily edited like this, but every now and again I want to learn something new, I want to show something new, and this is the edit I've done from this picture here, because you know, a lot of times when you're at a wedding or you're shooting a client, you don't always have the option to choose your background, and although I don't mind the background in this picture because it is blurry, I did want to do a sort of autumn looking love scene, if you like, and this image just popped out from a wedding I shot earlier on this year in May. So yeah, so I took this image and found this backdrop which I thought was very autumnal and very nice, and created this. So I'm going to show you how I did that today, and it's a very simple, easy way to extract foreground elements, introduce a new background, and then color grade both the foreground and the background to match, because obviously this picture, the colors in this picture don't quite match the colors in this picture, so we need to do a little bit of work, but that's not too bad and it doesn't take too long. So we're going to start. So let's get rid of that. The chances are it won't look like this at the end. It might be slightly different, but I'm going to try and remember what I did and how I did it. So I'll start with this, and the first thing I'm going to do is actually take the objects, in this case the two people, out of the background. So we're going to use any selection tool that you like. I tend to use a quick selection with this because they're both very in focus and you've got very hard edges against the background. If they were more blurred into the background, it might be a bit difficult to use this tool, but we'll see what we can do with this, like so. But any selection tool that you might be more capable at using, if you don't like this, should be fine. It's actually doing a very good job, although let's introduce the middle part of those two. Let's just take that around there, and then we'll add that in. So we've got an edge around both of them, but it also includes this middle bit here, which we're now going to hold down the Alt key, or what you can do is actually hit that up there, which will be like a selection delete, if you like. It's done a very good job around there, a bit of a lip in there. So we go back to the add, and we'll move in a bit closer in a second just to have a look around the whole of the edge to see where we are. And let's just take that out there. Okay, so we've got a very rough selection. It doesn't have to be too good at the moment. We're going to go around the edge in a second and clean up anything we can. We're also going to do a mask of the edge as well, and we're going to refine that edge. So we're going to zoom in, just have a look around, make sure that we've picked everything up we need to pick up. Not too worried about his beard bits down there. That's all right. Move this around like that. We're missing a little bit of the buttonhole. We're just going to do the add there, make that a little bit smaller. I'm going to add that very roughly, not worry too much, because the refine edge will pick it up anyway. I'm just going to delete that out. There, I'm actually holding down the Alt key when I want to delete something quickly. Instead of taking that up there, you can hold down the Alt key, and that will change to a minus. Okay, zoom out just ever so slightly. We're going to go around the image. Not too worried about the hair down here, we can sort that out in a second. And the hair up the top there, we've actually got a little hole in the hair there, so we can probably take a little bit of that out. Again, we'll refine this a little bit better in a second. Okay, zoom out ever so slightly. Let's come back to press Control 0 to take the full screen. Control 1 is obviously one-to-one size, but Control 0 will take you to fit screen. And we're actually gonna duplicate this layer. Let's just do that. And now we're going to mask this layer. So if we turn the bottom layer off, we've actually got just those two selected. I'm actually going to go over to the mask on here, and we're going to right click. I'm going to go down to select and mask. Now you want to make sure that this masking tool, it's like a refine edge tool, is turned on. We're on the plus there, and we want the hardness to about 50. Size, depending on what you want to do, that's fine for me, 130, and spacing about 4750. Just go around the edge of the hair there, up there, just along the edge. Don't have to be very, very precise. I'll do a fairly good job. There's a bit too much there, maybe. Let's do a little bit of refinement on her hair. More around the edge, and a little bit. I'll make that brush a bit smaller. Go around there like so. Pick up any loose strands down there. Okay, let's take that over there. Get rid of anything not needed there. Through there, should take that out. Yep, perfect. Okay, so make sure we get in the bottom there. So it's about one radius. You can go about 3 pixels. Just taking the hair back in there. Just got rid of a little bit too much. We could have got rid of it later and sorted it out, but that's absolutely fine. And yeah, okay. It is green behind the veil there, but I'm not going to do anything about these two sections just yet. I'm going to leave that as it is. What you want to do is make sure that the output is to layer mask, and then that will add the bits that we've just sorted back into the mask. So you can see it's got these bits all sorted down here. The hair is a little bit fuzzy there, but that's fine. Yeah, they actually had hair going around there. We're going to clean that up in a second. So make sure your mask is selected. Go for a brush tool, press B on your keyboard, and that will select the brush. Or you can just hit the brush on this side here. And we're going to make sure that white is selected here. And we're going to make sure we've got a pretty hard edge. Go along the hairline there, make sure we just pull back anything we might have lost. We're actually in the process that we just did. Go really small down here. Let's put some hair in there. Okay, we're going to get the hair back there and there. We're going to press the X to get the black if you make a mistake, so we can take it out there. Let's just get rid of that a second, make that a bit bigger. Smooth edge. And again, hit the X to change colour. You see down here when I hit X, the colours change. So now what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to lower the opacity and lower the flow to about 80%. And these areas with green here, I'll make sure I've got a brush just to go over there. And actually I want black as my colour. It's too much. Let's lower the flow down to about 34. I'm just going to take a little bit of that green out there. Don't take too much. No, I don't like that. It's too much. Lower the opacity right down. It's about 10. That's better. Just take a little bit at a time. There's going to be green in our image anyway, but I'm going to take that out of there. Let's go back up to 100%. Zoom in a little bit. A bit of the veil needs to just disappear. We don't need that. And you notice I'm working non-destructively. I'm actually working on another layer. The background layer is still there. We haven't actually done anything to that yet. And potentially won't do anything to it at all. All we're doing is masking out our bride and groom. Okay, so for the time being, that's probably as good as I want to get that. I don't need to do a whole lot more. I'm happy with that. If I show you the background, no difference obviously. Okay, so now what I want to do is go to our background, or what's going to be our background. Don't worry that if this image is smaller than the image that you've got, we're going to be making it bigger. It's going to lose some pixels. However, we are going to be blurring the background, so it doesn't matter too much. Just Control A to copy, or go up to your move tool up there, grab a hold of it and move it onto your other image, and then come down and then let go. And you'll see, yeah, look, it's a very, very small image compared to the image we have, but don't worry about that at all. Before we do anything further, I'm actually going to resize the image that I have. So I'm going to hit that. I'm going to just zoom out slightly to give me a bit of a better palette. I need to have a bit of room above, a little bit more room on the side there, and a little bit more room on the side there. In fact, I'm just going to pull this up to about there, not so far that side. Okay, so this image actually needs to go below. I'm just going to rename that background or BG, put that behind. Control T, I'm going to hold down the Alt and Shift button and just drag one corner, and it's going to do a pretty good job there. So Control T again, right click and flip horizontal, because I wanted the green on this side along with the lighter areas on this side, because I'm actually going to be putting the light source over on this side. Okay, so sticking with the background for a moment, we can actually turn them off if you like, just make them invisible. I'm actually going to add a new adjustment layer above our background, which is going to be a HueSaturation. There we go. I'm actually going to desaturate it a little bit. Not too saturated. I'm going to go to reds, change the reds, a little bit more orange, desaturate. Yellows, I'm actually going to saturate a little bit and change, not change too much that way. Mainly the greens I want to look at. Not doing a whole lot to the greens, it should be. For some reason it's not. There we go. Okay. So it's a matter of choice. You know, it's one of them things where I'm trying to get a specific tone in my image. Your background may be completely different. You may not have this picture. So just work with what you've got. Above this layer, I'm going to create a clipping mask so it only affects the background layer. And I'm actually going to fill this with a color. So edit, fill, and then color. You choose your color, and actually it's about the right color that I want. There we go. And I'm going to change the blending mode to soft light and turn that down at 17%. So let's turn our couple back on. We need to, actually before we turn them on, we're actually going to filter with tilt shift blur. So I'm going to bring this right down. Here. It's going to get fairly blurry. I want it quite out of focus because our couple need to be the main area. I'm going to bring a bit of light bokeh back in. Some colour bokeh. There's not really. Okay, and then when you're happy, click OK. And I'm also going to add another blur. We're actually going to go lens blur to that as well. You don't have to do this as well, but I tend to. Okay, so now we need to do a hue saturation level for them. I'm just going to open up a hue saturation layer. We're going to clip that, right click, create clipping mask. That is just going to affect these two. It's not going to affect the whole image. And with this, it's a matter of finding exactly what you want from the image. Okay, so let's reds. Blues, right down. Okay, so we're getting there. We are getting there. Next, I'm going to do a bit of dodge and burn on their skin because I want to make them pop. So for that, I'm going to add a new layer. I'm going to fill that. So edit, fill, 50% grey, and then clipping mask. Again, we're going to right click, create clip mask. This is just going to affect them. I'm going to change that to overlay. And nothing's happened at the moment, but what we're going to do is take the dodge and burn tool, and we are going to just highlight the highlights and put some more shadows in areas. So if you take the dodge tool first, there's the skin. It'll be about 6%. You don't want to be too much. There's the skin that you think could do a little more highlight. Just emphasize the skin. Even on the jacket here, we can add a bit of highlights on his head here. You might not see a difference if I just turn that off for a second. There you see we are actually affecting the image. Now take the burn tool, and now just a little bit of definition. We're adding a little bit of contrast. And also shaping their bodies a little bit as well. Okay, so now we're going to start getting to the nitty-gritty. I'm happy with that. If you look at that, we have just shaped the skin a little bit, add a little bit of contrast to them. Not too much, it's very, very subtle, but I do like it. Next, we are going to start working on the more toning of their skin and stuff. So we are going to add a color balance adjustment layer. We're going to clip that. In fact, you can use that button there to clip it to them. And we're just going to have a little mess around with a few things here. We're in midtones at the moment. We'll go into the shadows. It's changing their skin tone ever so slightly. And again, this may not be the same for everyone. For me, I'm looking at what I need to get. Your images may be slightly different. I'm looking at how they look compared to the background, because we're going to be adding light in a second. If they don't look the same as if they were in the background or if they were in this picture, when we do the global adjustments in a second, and we add a few flares of light and stuff, they're just going to not look right. So that's number one. So the next one we're going to do is a bright and contrast adjustment layer. Let's go there. Again, hit the clipping mask. We only want it to affect them. We're going to add a little bit of contrast to them and bring down the brightness ever so slightly. Next one we're going to add is a hue and saturation. Again, just to affect them. Bring the master saturation down ever so slightly. Now we're going to do something a little bit weird. You may think this is a bit strange. We are actually going to go for a gradient map. It's going to look a bit weird at first. Bear with me. We're going to add that. This should be in your palette. This blue, red, and yellow. Hit the OK on there. Looks a bit surreal. We're going to put that as an overlay and bring the opacity right down to 0 and then start creeping it back in. So you get something like that. And now we're going to just add the levels. Clip that to them too. And just have a mess around here. Okay, as for the adjustments on them, I think that's probably about where we need to be. I'm going to start working on the light that's going to be coming into our image. So to do that, I'm going to add a new layer. It's going to be on top of all the layers, so it will affect the whole image. I'm going to add a big brush. We're going to go fairly big. We are going to select a color. In this case, it's going to be a yellow. And one click on that. We need to make sure it's a soft brush first. Go larger. One click on there. Okay. Then we're just going to add that as an overlay. Nope. No. Linear light potentially. Nope. Add that as a soft light, and then bring the opacity right down. Control T. Make it a little bit bigger. Okay, next we're going to add another one. This time we're going to reset our colors and have white. I'm just going to put a white in there. I'm actually going to go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur or Gaussian blur. Okay, that. Bring the opacity down. Control T. I'm going to make that bigger like so. Then I do have somewhere in my libraries a lens flare. You may not have this, but I'm actually going to bring this in. I'm going to flip horizontal. That's going to go into that corner there. Do that. Yeah, okay. Just send that into screen mode. Don't like it like that. It's not a problem. Filter, blur, do the same as before. Gaussian blur, and there they go. Gone. And just bring that down. These lens flares come as a pack. I don't know where, you'd have to search online for them. I've had them for years. I can't remember where I got them from. but they're not too difficult to find or implement. Should be fine. And the next thing I would do is a simple vignette. Now, to do this, there are many ways. But I find the easiest way, especially with an image like this where we've got a corner that's really light, is just take a brush, make sure it's set to black on a new layer. Just do the corners like so, and set that to overlay and bring it right down and take it back up to where you need it. And that's pretty much it. Probably slightly different to the image I had before. I think the background's a bit more blurry, but essentially that's how I did it. It's very simple. Every image is going to be different. Your images are going to be different. Remember, these are my own images. I've taken these myself, so I know what I wanted to get out of this. You may be looking at two images that are completely different to this, so some of the settings I use today may be different, but the process is exactly the same. Cut the two people out, or cut the one person, or however many people you've got out of the image. Set the other image in behind, give it a bit of a blur, make sure they both are graded the same. I didn't do a lot to the background. I made the bride and groom in this case look more like the background than the other way around. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you've got any comments, please leave them down below. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I do a lot of landscape stuff, but I'm a wedding photographer, so I've got quite a bit of wedding stuff on there. And this kind of editing is something I've wanted to get into and do videos of for quite some time. So I potentially will be doing more videos like this. If you've got any ideas of video you'd like me to do, please leave them in the comments down below. Always look to reply to comments. Happy to take criticism. If you've got any criticism, keep it constructive, please. And yeah, if you do subscribe, be sure to hit that notification bell so you get updates every time I upload a new video. So until next time, if you're a photographer, keep shooting. If you're a photo shopper, keep photo shopping. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Take care.